Well, this is definitely another one of those albums where I went in with relatively low expectations and it definitely exceeded those. So, yeah, let's just dive into it.
Rise and fall. Our life was never
Insanium by Whom Gods Destroy. I'm gonna just put a little bit of an asterisk right at the very beginning. This album needed to have a little bit of a better naming convention. Like, Insanium is cringe, like the cringiest. And Whom God Destroys, you guys could have done better than that. So, yeah, that's definitely the weakest point of that. Don't let those two things shy you away from this record, as it did me. So, yeah, just wanted to kind of get that out of the way first. And now we can dive into the music proper. Whom Gods Destroy kind of rose from the ashes of Sons of Apollo. You had Ron Bumblefoot Tal on lead guitars, as well as Derek Sherinian. I'm so sorry, Derek. I know you've personally corrected me on how you pronounce your last name. Sherinian. I still want to say Serenian, but I know it's not it. Good old Derek. Lead keyboardist from Dream Theater within their Falling Into Infinity, and then as well within Sons of Apollo. These two individuals within Sons of Apollo were fine. I wasn't that big of a fan of Sons of Apollo, if I'm being perfectly honest. It was just fun power metal. That's it. It was fine. And what sets these guys kind of apart a little bit from Sons of Apollo is that you've got Dino Jelisic. And Dino, brilliant vocalist. He was one of the star performers off of Michael Romeo's War of the Worlds Part 2. Part of the reason why I love that record so much is due to Dino's vocal works. He also is touring with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and I've seen him a number of times perform live, and the man is a powerhouse. An absolutely powerhouse within the modern progressive metal outfits, like within the Symphony X kind of style of singing styles, as well as bassist Yaz Namora and drummer Bruno Valverde. They kind of round everything off within this, and they have created some of my favorite metal music of this year, and I didn't expect to say that. Like, these boys started writing new music back in 2020 with Bumblefoot and Derek really kind of playing with the Sons of Apollo kind of credo, not going in thinking that they were going to write the next Sons of Apollo, but because they were playing so well together within that group, deciding to kind of take the music somewhere else. And I felt as if they kind of transitioned more within more of the Symphony X style of things. So getting Dino in that has that kind of Symphony X style of singing is brilliant and a real treat. Now, the one thing that I will say is, like, no track on here really is elevated from any other. It's just, from start to finish, a very solid, very meaty, very fun, progressive metal outfit. And I'm getting flavors of War of the Worlds Part 2 from Michael Romeo. I'm getting flavors of On the Divine Wings of Tragedy and The Underworld from Symphony X. Like, that's the style of progressive metal that I'm really feeling is being played on here. But elevated with that, you have Derek's brilliance within the sounds here. Like, his last solo record, I believe it was The Phoenix, really surprised me. Like, the soundscapes that he was able to put down, the shredding that he has on the keyboards, I absolutely loved, and I could not stop listening to that record. And he's taken everything that he's learned there and applied it with gusto on this record. I'm loving the soundscapes. I'm loving that it's not just one style of sound that Derek's playing with. Half the time, I don't know if it is Bumblefoot or if it's Derek, because of how they're able to play with one another back and forth and the soundscapes that both are able to capture on their respective instrument. But I did found that Derek is a master not only of setting tone and atmosphere within the keyboards, but also being the driving force of a lot of these tracks. The same can be said about Bumblefoot. Like, his guitar works on here, I was just in awe of. Like, he's not necessarily shredding a mile a minute on here, but he knows when to go fast, when to present some really hard-hitting music, and also when to take a little bit of a back seat to provide the harmonies and to provide a little bit more of the atmosphere. I really do love Yaz's bass work. Like, there's a number of moments on here that he's not just following whatever the lead is. He's off doing his own thing to provide more of the rhythm section, a little bit more within the harmonizations as well, which I really appreciate, and has his own personality that is found on here. And Bruno on the drums is just a powerhouse. The only downside that I will say is that no moment really rises to the top of being like my favorite moment on this record. You know, I can't really pinpoint to any one moment and be like, that was my favorite, or that was really tasty, or that was so good. After listening to it a number of times, it's just, I remember having an extremely enjoyable time start to finish with this record. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. This is a little bit of a shorter one. I'm really looking forward to where they go from here. I'm really hoping that they'll have like that really big standout moment for me on this record, because this was one that really surprised me. This is one of those records that really doesn't have any right to be as good as it is, especially coming from the legacies that these boys have had. I kind of knew what kind of music I was getting, and they definitely surpassed that quite a bit. So, you know, that's a little bit of shame on me for thinking I know what I'm going to get and then being very pleasantly surprised. Honestly, I wish that happened more, rather than the other way around, where I have these big expectations and then the band just leaves me cold. So for that reason, I will say Insomnium, From Whom Gods Destroy, is one that I would absolutely pick up in physical format. I also get that this might not necessarily be for everybody. On the one hand, this is a little bit of an outdated progressive metal outfit. You know, they're not necessarily modernizing a whole lot. They're playing a lot with styles that were kind of perfected about 10 years ago. But on that same token, they're playing some really great music, and I'm not going to fault them for that. So yeah, that's what I've got for Insomnium, For Whom Gods Destroyed. I was very pleasantly surprised about this one. This one is a recommendation. If you're a fan of bands like Symphony X, if you're a fan of Sons of Apollo, or anything these boys have touched, I think you're going to really enjoy this one, and I think you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So that's what I've got for Insomnium, From Whom Gods Destroy. What do you guys think about this record? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Whatever you thought, please let me know by commenting down below. I will say, they missed their chance of being called Grandsons of Apollo. I think that would have been a lot of fun. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.